It was an iconic moment in the U.S. election campaign. Khizr Khan, the Muslim American father of a Marine who was killed in combat defending the United States, waving the Constitution at Donald Trump. In the end, it didn't make a difference, of course. Donald Trump is now the president of the United States. And on Friday, he signed executive orders to suspend immigration from multiple Muslim countries and stop refugees from Syria. What does Mr. Khan make of the recent developments and the start of the so-called extreme vetting? Well, to find out, he joins us now. Mr. Khan, first of all, thank you so much for joining us today. What do you make of how President Trump has acted on those promises that he spoke about during the campaign?
First, thank you very much for inviting me and allowing me to speak to you and your audience. I am grateful. We are very concerned with these. We thought that political rhetoric of division, racism, misogyny will be limited only to the election campaign, but it did not. It has made into the administration and its steps and its executive orders. Most of them are unconstitutional, illegal, and we remain standing to challenge those executive orders, but we are extremely concerned and about both extreme vetting of the Syrian refugees, war-torn Syria. These refugees, and if you talk to any expert of the American security policy, they will tell you, the experts will tell you that the vetting that takes place, it takes 2 years for a refugee to be selected, processed, and then allowed to come to the United States. Those vetting processes are already sufficient and had been in practice for previous administration. So that is one. This is a front. This is appeasing the elements that voted for Donald Trump. It's to appease them. It's to make them happy. It's to...
But Mr. Khan, to be fair, he did win. Now, he's passing some executive orders. You said that these are illegal. What exactly do you think he's passing that might be illegal and that some of his opposition may try to roll back?
Yeah, let me explain. The second point was banning certain Muslims coming from certain countries. That is against the values of this country, plus specifically, more specifically, the 14th Amendment, the First Amendment prohibits the U.S. government to devise a policy, immigration policy or any other policy that has a religious test or has a religious element in it, that the person of certain faiths are not allowed to enter United States. That runs contrary to not only the values of this country, but specific provisions of the Constitution.
Your son died fighting for the United States. When you see what President Trump is doing, given the sacrifice your family has made, what does that tell you about the America you're living in today?
It saddens me. But then the values that my son was defending, my son died defending the Constitution, my son died defending, it is an obligation of us as a family, and it is an obligation of every patriot American citizen to remain standing for those values and tell this administration that this will not be accepted. Majority of this country is on our side. Of course, the election results, we are saddened to see those results, but we remain strong, we remain standing, we remain vocal. We will be reaching out to the Congress, to every senator and every Congress person to void these executive orders, because that is the democratic process, that if President issues an illegal, unacceptable executive order, Congress can declare it null and void. And that will be our course of action.
Obviously, you're remaining politically active. In the last few seconds I've got with you, sir, what is your biggest concern in the days ahead?
My biggest concern is that on these executive orders that relate to immigrants, that relate to Muslims, that relate to refugees, our enemies of United States, enemies of the security and safety of United States had been given a platform to speak now to 1.6 billion Muslims. They are telling, see, we've been telling you that America is not your friend. Therefore, it has created an amazingly disturbing risk for the safety of United States. Previous two administrations, George Bush administration, President Barack Obama administration, had worked with the Muslim community of United States hand in hand to deal with the violence, to deal with the terrorism in United States. And this president had alienated them. We remain concerned that these executive orders are going to harm us, not benefit us. I was a couple of weeks ago, I must share this observation with you and your audience. 3 weeks ago, I was in Toronto in Canada. You know what they call their immigrants? They do not call them aliens or immigrants. Our Canadian friends call their immigrants as new Canadians. These two words speak volume of how these resourceful, how these contributing members of our community are treated, are looked at. So to Trump administration, I will say this: look to the north, look to the north, learn to take advantage of the assets that these immigrants bring. If immigrants were not allowed into this country, there would be no Google, there would be no Apple. Immigrants are resourceful people. Learn from our neighbors in the north.
I got to leave it there. Interesting observations in a very fraught time. Mr. Khan, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Khan, thank you. Your